21st, 1773, in Cape Town, a Dutch settlement founded by the Dutch East India Company. Across the Atlantic Ocean the same year, Jean-Baptiste Point de Sable created a small town near a large lake called Chicago. In October, one of the Dutch East India Company's chief rivals, the British East India Company, lost shiploads of tea sent to the American colonies when a group protesting the British Parliament's Tea Act burned or chucked the lot into the harbor. In the colonies, it was a restless year, as if the world was holding its breath before the arrival of the storm of revolution. It is winter in June in the Southern Hemisphere. Cape Town, established in April 1652, was over 100 years old when the storm struck. The settlement was a hub of commerce used by the Dutch East India Company to reach the distant ports of India, Java, and Macau, and to bring back the precious spices used by Europeans to flavor and preserve food. One of the company's ships, the Young Thomas, one of 5 ships anchored at Table Bay that stormy night, was filled with these spices, such as pepper, cloves, and nutmeg. In addition, the ship carried 270 men, women, and children. As the storm raged, waves struck the vessel, shaking it and disturbing its passengers, who spent a sleepless night in fear. The powerful storm tested the ropes, tying the Young Thomas to its anchor, and soon it seemed that the rope would fail, leaving the ship to the mercy of the wind and the waves. Captain Barnard Lemarin of the Young Thomas signaled for help by ordering the ship's cannon to fire shortly after midnight. When the relentless waves finally broke the ship from its moorings and the ship's anchor began to drag along the bottom of the harbor, Lemarin was hoping the sound of the cannon would alert Cape Town's residents to their predicament. They would mount a rescue operation for the souls aboard the ship, as well as its cargo. Around 5 a.m., the storm wrenched the anchor from the ship and threw the vessel upon the rocky shore. Unfortunately for its passengers, the Young Thomas landed near where the Salt River pours into Table Bay, creating nearly impassable rapids and raging surf. Only the strongest swimmers were able to defeat the current and safely reach shore. The rest were left clinging to the wreckage, praying for rescue. The residents of Cape Town had indeed heard Captain Lemarin's cannon, and Cape Town Governor Joachim von Plettenberg sent 30 soldiers. Others wanted to assist in a rescue operation. The soldiers held all back, saying it was too dangerous to attempt anything. But one man would not be deterred. A 65-year-old dairyman of the Dutch East India Company named warad waltemade pushed his way through the line of soldiers. One of Waltemade's sons, Corporal Christian Ludwig Waltemade, was among the group holding the others back from the shore. The elder Waltemade may have ridden his black into the raging surf. The wreck had begun to break apart, and the stranded men, women, and children were faced with the prospect of drowning in the freezing waters. Into the fray rolled Waltemade. Waltemade had immigrated from Schomberg in order to work as a soldier for the Dutch East India Company prior to his time as a dairyman. Only one ship made it back to its own port. The Cape of Good Hope, near which Cape Town was built, was originally called Cabo das Tormentas, or Port of Storms, by Bartolomeu Dias, a Portuguese explorer. The ocean storms around the Cape were legend, and included among the tales of it is the haunting story of the ghost ship, the Flying Dutchman. King John II of Portugal renamed the place the Cape of Good Hope because of what that passage represented to his kingdom, the hope of safe passage to India and the Far East. But the June storm was taking the Cape back to its original name as Waltemade rolled into its teeth. He tied some ropes to Vonk and swam the horse out to the beleaguered Young Thomas. "Grab the ropes and tail," he cried, and 2 men dead. Waltemade encouraged his stallion back to shore and delivered the grateful men to the arms of the waiting crowd. Then he turned around and did it again, and again, and again for hours, braving the ocean to rescue the helpless. After his first few rescue missions, the group on shore began begging Waltemade to stay on dry land. "You've done enough," they said. "It's too cold and dangerous. Stay here and rejoice with those you saved." Maybe Waltemade's son had it displeased to the general outcry, reminding his father of his own family and the wife for which he had to live back home. Waltemade turned his back on all and rode back into the ocean. By his 7th trip, he was exhausted. 14 souls had been saved. Waltemade collapsed and prepared to rest when a loud crack was heard from the wreck, and screams rose from those still clinging to it. The Young Thomas was on its last legs. "Once more," Waltemade said, and rode Vonk back into the freezing water one last time. When he came close to the desperate remaining survivors, 6 grabbed his black horse instead of 2. The added weight was too much for the exhausted beast, and it sank beneath the waves. Vonk's corpse was never recovered. Waltemade's body washed ashore with the others from the ship. Only 53 survived the wreck. Historians disagree on the original number aboard the ship, with numbers ranging from 270 to 190. They all agree that 14 of the